Hi, this is Joe Kwan, the Connection Counselor and Executive Vice President of Marketing for ALPFA New Jersey, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Board. Today, we're very lucky to have with us for the second time, because I forgot to hit the record button, and Frank and I have actually been having a wonderful conversation for 10 minutes. We have with us Frank Galindo, the Vice President of Partner Relations for ALPFA New Jersey. Frank, how is your 2022 going so far?
Hey, Joe, how you doing? Nice to be here. And no worries. Listen, it happens to the best of us. But we had a great conversation. It was a warm up, right? It was an appetizer. So now we're really in here for the main entree, right? The main course. My 2022 is off to a great start. We're a couple of days in, but there's a lot of great relationships that are in the pipeline to be built. I'm healthy, family's healthy, everybody is doing well. Low key holidays, perfectly fine, right? A couple of years in. But we're looking at 2022 as an opportunity to do more, to be strong, to continue on, and I'm looking for that light at the end of the tunnel. And again, forging new relationships as we go through 2022.
Yeah, and I just got to ask, because we had a severe weather event today. Were you driving outside today, and did you encounter any black ice?
Yeah, well, it's funny because normally my oldest daughter takes the bus to school, and the bus stop is like right down the street from my house. But today we were running late, so I had to drive her to school. I had heard about some freezing rain kind of coming down, but I didn't pay much mind to it until I stepped out the door and realized that it was all over the place. So, got in the car, and as I'm driving her to school, just like tapping on the gas, and I have a four-wheel drive vehicle, but ICE does not care whether you have four-wheel drive or not. My car just started to slide left or right, so I literally had to do like a turtle speed to get to drop her off. And what's normally an 8 or 9 minute drive turned out to be an hour there and back because of all of the traffic. They had to close down a street that was leading out of the complex because it's a downhill. Cars were sliding down, literally just bumping into each other. By the time I got into the complex, dropped her off, came back out. They had reopened the street, thank God. But my wife was like, "Where did you go? You just went to drop her off." I said, "You have not been outside. You have no idea what the roads are like." So it was crazy, but it was better than the poor folks that got caught on I-95
Oh my gosh.
in Virginia and Washington for 12, 16, 20, 30 hours. So I'm glad nobody was hurt or killed from what I've heard. Everybody's alive and well, just very frustrated. So
Yeah, well, glad your family, including your daughter, was all safe, and we can have this conversation today.
absolutely.
So,
Thank you.
would love to ask you, you and I have been working together for a while now. So I know a little bit about you, but others may not have had a chance to experience Frank. So tell us a little bit about the value that you bring in those activities that you do, regardless of the role or organization you may be working with.
That's a good question, Joe. And I have to say that the value that I bring to the table is my perspective. And what I mean by that is I'm coming from a place where I wasn't very much of a go-getter, right? I was very complacent professionally, personally, academically, not an overachiever, not an achiever, period. And it was just a place where I didn't know how to get out of, right? And so eventually, over the last 6 or 7 years, I began to discover myself, discover my talents, and understand why I was where I was, right? In that place, what it took to break through and get to where I am today. So that leads to a great deal of empathy, on my part, for people who are in those positions, right? So I could relate to folks that are struggling, relate to folks that are trying to find a way to find themselves and to find their calling, to push themselves to be better. And that perspective, as I mentioned before, based on my history, based on my present, is what I feel adds value in all of the encounters that I have, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, empathy is such a big topic these days, especially in leadership circles. And, the way I kind of think about it, it's, empathy is not about being a better leader. It's about being a better human being, which
Right,
hopefully makes you a better leader. Now,
right.
interested to learn a little bit more. You kind of mentioned that you were headed one way or maybe going sideways, and then something kind of changed and happened. To the extent that you're comfortable sharing, was there a particular event or something that happened that made you realize, like, okay, I'm going to start doing things a little bit differently?
So that's a good question. I think that the catalyst for that show was at one point, I guess 7 years ago, perhaps maybe 8 years ago at this point, where I was elected to be part of a leadership development academy at Lincoln, my current employer. And so when that happened, it was like it turned a light on inside me, right? And it said, wow, you're being noticed. People think that you have the potential, that you're adding value, and they want to develop that and do more with you. So I went through the program. I learned a lot through the program, learned a lot from others in the organization that were more senior than I. Got the chance to experience workshops, tools, exercises, and things that just kind of really lit that inside me, that fire. And then after going successfully through the program, I took those lessons learned, right, those best practices, and incorporated them into my life on my own, right? Reading the leadership books and networking, engaging with people that are at a different level than I was, and then also engaging with people that are where I was to try and help them and bring them up to a better level for themselves so they could be a better person in life and professionally. And so that having that event where they realized, let's select some folks from the organization to be a part of the training, having been selected for that, that's what I think really launched me. Seeing that other folks in the organization understood that, yes, Frank does have a lot of value to add and a lot of benefits to bring to the table. That's really got me going.
Yeah, a couple of things you said, Frank, really resonated with me. The first one being that, there was this great opportunity to be in this leadership training, but that wasn't the end, right? You took that and you continued to build on it with, additional training and coaching on your own and additional education with your MBA. So I feel like, sometimes people have this misconception that they're supposed to come out of a training and they're magically transformed. It's like most of the heavy lifting for you, I imagine, happened after the training was done, not, in the walls of the training. And the other thing you mentioned, which I find so interesting, is that other people had faith in you, which kind of sparked your faith in yourself, because oftentimes in culture we think of it differently, like, oh yeah, you must believe in yourself, but sometimes it really takes someone else to really see something special in you that kind of gets things started.
Yeah, definitely. It's just that spark, all right? It's that spark that lights the fire. It's what drove me to go for my MBA, because I wasn't ready for that. It was a big time commitment, married, 2 kids, and I just wasn't even in that mindset. But then once the fire starts to burn, it starts to take on a life of its own, and the momentum that you feel from having started the journey just kind of pushes you through all these other obstacles, all these other challenges, all these other goals that you want to achieve. And that really drove me through and said, you know what, I'm going to go for my MBA. And I did it, and I did very well in the program.
Yeah, fantastic. Now I'm curious, um, because you had this experience where maybe others saw more in you than you are currently seeing in yourself, have you started to notice that you do that with others? Like, you may come across someone and they're not seeing themselves the way you do, and that actually creates a conversation or an opportunity for you to sponsor or mentor them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's happened in the office. A colleague of mine actually went and started to go for her certifications in IT certifications in a specific field because we're friends, and she had heard about my journey and what I had gone through with the MBA, and having a full-time job, family, and children, as I mentioned before, and having done it right, and gone through the program. She said, you know what, I can do this too for myself, and explain to her the benefits of doing that, right? Self-improvement and through education. And so she went ahead and did that. And so that's a way that I managed to touch someone else's life, right? And inspire them to do more. On top of that, after having graduated from the MBA program at Montclair State, I had a good relationship with the team there, and with the folks in the MBA office. And so they asked me to come back and be a mentor. So I'm currently mentoring a student in the accelerated MBA program over at Montclair State, and it's very fulfilling and rewarding, to see someone. She's a female, very young, early 20s, and I have 2 daughters. So I interact with her, engage with her, and I see in her what could potentially be my girls, right? And so as I'm mentoring her, teaching her, she's also teaching me, And I'm just getting a lot from the experience, thinking about what it will be like to be that person for my kids when their time comes. They're still young; they have a ways to go. But as a father and a professional mentor, I think that it's been very beneficial to work with this individual at Montclair State and be a mentor to her.
Fantastic. Love, love, love to hear things like that. Now, what is something that and you're not a particularly secretive individual. You're fairly open as I've gotten to know you. However, what is something you wish more people knew about you?
One of the things I wish more people knew about me, and this is on me just because of the nature of the type of person that I was in the past, being very, as you mentioned, secretive, not now, but back then for me, yeah, I wish people knew that I'm really eager to help, right?
Mhm.
That I'm there to support them, that I'm there to understand them, to listen to them, to be a part of their journey and to help them be the better, the best person that they can be. Again, it's not something that you asked me 8 or 9 years ago, and I would have just run and I would have been hidden myself from any interaction, any social engagement, any networking, any type of social scenario where I have to engage with someone whom I don't even know, right? And I don't even know what they're doing. I don't want to do that extra work. I don't want to put in that extra effort. But now I think that I'm ready for anything. Anything anybody's willing to throw at me and ask for my assistance with. I would very much like people to know that they can count on me. I am approachable. It's something that I recall from childhood, and it's funny the things that you remember, right? Just random things that kind of burn into your memory. I remember being told at some point in grammar school that I was unapproachable because I always looked like I was angry and I was going to beat somebody up. I was like a skinny kid, first of all. Um, like I wouldn't hurt a fly, but they always said I had this scowl. I always had this look. And so I couldn't, so I have the lines, you can see the lines here from the scowling all those years, but I've learned to stop scowling. My wife has been good at telling me to stop scowling. But, I just try to make people understand that, I am approachable and you can come and talk to me about anything and everything anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, I think lots of folks, especially on the Alpha New Jersey team, are very excited to work with you this year. Tell us a little bit more about your role and what's in store for 2022 and onwards.
So I'm coming on board as the VP of Partner Relations. It's a role that I'm very excited about. Again, Joe, excited about it in the context of who I am today as an individual. The synergies between the role that I'll be taking on at Alpha and my current role at my current employer are extremely similar, right? And there's some overlap there that I think will actually be beneficial for Alpha. What I do in my current role is engaging with elected officials, business and industry leaders, and business industry associations and networking, right? Getting to know folks, getting to create relationships and partnerships. And that's exactly what I'll be doing with Alpha. I'll be working with big Fortune 500 companies. We have some already on the docket that I'll be taking over those relationships, starting new relationships, and being able to help Latino students, Latino professionals find their way and a place with these organizations and have those organizations fulfill their goals of having a more diverse workforce. So the folks that I've met so far, fantastic. Loved what I've seen, love who I'm talking to and what I'm hearing. So I'm really excited to bring the new me, right? And the experience that I've developed over the years working at my current employer and my new role into Alpha, and just really exploding that and making 2022 the best year that we can for the chapter and for every member of the organization.
Yeah, what I find kind of interesting, Frank, is it almost seems like this is all kind of lined up in an organic, serendipitous kind of way,
Yeah,
where you are at life, where you
yeah,
are in professionally, like this is all just kind of coming together in this, in a good way, perfect storm of activities and initiatives.
yeah, definitely. I think positive energy attracts positive energy. I firmly believe that. I didn't know about the concept, as odd or naive as that sounds, up until I started to go through my journey and learned more about that. And it is certainly true that that does happen. Positive outlook, positive demeanor. We talked before about empathy, for example, right? Making you not just a good leader, but just being empathetic is a good person. And what that comes with, I think it contributes significantly to that. And so that's why I find myself in that position right now. And yeah, it's until you get here, you don't realize how, I don't want to use the word easy, but how attainable it is, right? And then how things kind of cascade and snowball. But once you do get here and you realize, wow, this is what positive energy, positive input, positive interactions can do, that's when you think, you know what, let's keep it going, because this is going to lead to more things.
Great. Love it. Love it. So let me ask you a question that's a little bit cheeky. If you're game, what's something that not many people know about you, but you'd be willing to share with us today?
So two things I might have divulged one throughout this conversation is that I am an introvert by nature, right? Probably not getting that from this interview. You're not going to get that when you meet me, but absolutely was an introvert for most of my life. Just shy, didn't know how to engage, didn't want to engage. Obviously, that has changed. The other thing, I guess, fun fact that I'll share is I have a tattoo on my back that I designed myself. I got it in my 30s, going through some kind of a phase there at some point. My wife makes fun of me, my mother makes fun of me. But you know what? I got it, and it's there, and it's not one that you will see on a regular basis. Go shirtless to the beach and stuff. You see it on my back and that. But that's something that people, when I tell them, they're like, "You, right? Like me, Frank Galindo, married, father of two. I'm 46 now, and you have a tattoo." Yeah, so that's an interesting one that always gets people by surprise.
Awesome. Awesome. It's like a list of least likely people to have tattoos, and then you're like, whoa.
Exactly.
All right, Frank. Well, super enjoyed our conversation today, learning more about you, your journey, as you continue your journey, and just the energy and positivity and the empathy and helping that you bring to everything you do. So, on behalf of ALPFA New Jersey, super excited to have you in this role this year and looking forward to a fantastic 2022 with you.
Thank you, Joe. It's been a great pleasure speaking with you, and I'm so excited to continue to work with you and the rest of the team. Really looking forward to 2022. We're going to knock it out of the park.
Bye, Frank.
Thanks, Joe. Take care.